The National Television Award goes to Anton Du Beke.
A national treasure, a Strictly star, and a Saturday night legend. Anton Du Beke is one of the most loved faces on British television. From being the longest serving member of Strictly Come Dancing to becoming a best-selling author, heading out onto the road on his own solo tours, and even singing as an Arctic fox on national television. There is nothing that this man has not done. And he isn't slowing down anytime soon. We managed to catch up with the main man himself, Anton Du Beke, before he hit the road on his latest tour. I am so excited to bring you this conversation. Anton is nothing short of a national treasure. Not only was it an incredible conversation that we had together, but I was very, very lucky to be able to spend some time with him backstage after one of his performances, and he is just the most genuine, down-to-earth, lovely person. And if you're a fan of his, or of Strictly, or of the showbiz entertainment world in general, you will absolutely love this man. He is an absolute icon, he is a gem, and this is a brilliant conversation. If you do like and enjoy it, then make sure you just drop a little thumbs up, a subscribe, comment, all of that jazz, because as we always say, it really does help us to continue to bring you the best guests that we possibly can. But without further ado, I will leave you now to enjoy the incredible conversation with the iconic Anton Du Beke. I was struggling to think of the best way to introduce you onto the show, and I thought I could go with Strictly legend. I could go with star of Saturday night TV, but I think we all
I like that.
I tell you what though, I think we could all uniformly agree that it's safe to say Anton Du Beke, national treasure.
Oh,
Thank you for joining.
well, that's very. I'll take all of the above, if that's all right with you. I'll tell you a little something once. This is a true story as well. I did a show for ITV. It was a interview thing with Kate Garraway, and the researcher producer went to my wife. She said, I mean, we're delighted to have Anton on the show. I mean, he's a borderline national treasure. And my wife has never let me not forget that moment. So I feel, speaking to you, I've been elevated to complete and full national treasure from borderline.
Yeah,
and I thank you for it.
You are very
When
welcome.
I get ideas above my station, my wife looks at me and goes, borderline. And I went, thank you very much. Okay,
Well,
fair enough.
Trust me, you can tell her now that you've been promoted to full.
It says so. It must be true.
I want to start. You're so busy at the moment, and of course, Strictly season is upon us. You've got your musical tour as well, and also on top of that, you've got your In Conversation with Anton Du Beke dance and stories. Firstly, how excited are you for it? But secondly, how nice is it to maybe do something with that that's a little bit more stripped back to what you're usually used to in glitz and glams and big productions?
Well, you've summed it up perfectly there, really, Finn. You're marvelous at this. Because I've been writing novels for quite a long time now. I'm on my 11th novel, including children's books as well. And I just And what happens is that I go out and do song and dance and band and frocks and hair and all the stuff and big shows. And often when I've just tried to talk about the books, it ends up being a bit like that. So I wanted to do something where we're just in conversation, and we call it In Conversation with me. And I just wanted to be able to sit there with somebody on stage with me, asking me questions with the audience. So we're very, very in conversation about the books, about writing, sort of about anything really. We'll let it wander and meander where it goes. I don't like these things to be too scripted,
Mm.
but we're going to focus mainly on the books. Now, as when I've done this before a couple of times at sort of book festivals, where we've sat and talked about, obviously because they're a book festival, we talked about writing and the process and things like that. And my process it is like choreographing for me. So, and I think it would be interesting for the audience to see me join those two facets together, the idea of writing and the idea of creating a story through movement, dancing, as we call it. So I'll probably do a bit of that on
Mm.
stage as well. So I've got lovely Rosie Ward, who's a beautiful dancer, going to join. We'll have a little dance. Maybe we'll just have a dance because we just like to have a dance and people would just like to see us do a number. I mean, but invariably they're going to be there to sort of help me. The dancing is going to be there to help me illustrate what I'm talking about, and I'm very excited about doing it. I love that in conversation feel. I know more authors are doing it now, going out in theatres and talking about these things because it's so nice to be able to sit down and just listen to somebody talk about process or
Mhm.
what it means to them. Everybody is. It won't be. I won't. It's not going to be sort of strictly anecdotes all night long. If you want that, you'll come to the other show. You'll come to
Yeah.
musicals because I do a bit of chat in that as well. But this is going to be very, very much of that ilk.
It's the thing that is particularly of note for me, about this book is, so I wrote my first novel, got published last December,
Well done,
uh,
you.
which was set in the First World War.
Brilliant.
Now, I know this one is obviously wartime set,
Mm.
in the Second World War.
Yeah.
Um, was writing in a wartime period, was it just a natural time progression from where the earlier books started, or was it also something that you've quite enjoyed being able to play around in that world?
Both of those things really. It was a natural progression. I started. My first book was written for 1936. I think it was the.
Mhm.
I think it was. It was. And I was fascinated at the time. I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, but somebody once said to me, "Write about what you know, or what you feel you can speak about naturally."
Mhm.
Now, if you said to me, "Do a sci-fi book," I
Yeah,
couldn't do it. It would. I wouldn't know what to do with that. I wouldn't know how to. S- I wouldn't know how to get the characters and yeah, too much for my small brain. So
yeah,
I let other people do that. I do stuff that I'm familiar with, or stuff that I have a massive interest in. And ever since I was young, I've had an interest in history.
mhm,
Um, so looking back and going through this period was not a struggle for me. And I found it fascinating anyway. Now, you said to a young person, now, my children, for example, the Second World War, it wouldn't,
yeah,
of course, when I was young, I was much closer to it.
mhm,
So it was still a thing. It was,
yeah,
people who fought in the Second World War are still alive. We're doing this thing now with the First World War, where we're down to the last person or two people who actually fought or in the Second World War. And we're going to get to that during the Second World War. Um, so I found the period fascinating. When I started writing novels for 1936, it was something that would been going on at the time was the Edward and Mrs. Simpson saga.
mhm,
And I
yeah,
found all that fascinating. I read and watched a lot about that.
yeah,
Anyway, and so when I started writing this novel, all the characters in there were familiar to me anyway. They were like caricatures of stories of people I'd heard about from years gone by. And the hotels are familiar to me, and the chandeliers and the band and all that sort of stuff. And the setting. And then when we decided that we want to make it a continuing saga, then it naturally sort of went through into the Second World War, which I was delighted about because I was able to continue with the characters, build the relationships, and the setting was a natural backdrop.
mhm. One thing that I have really struggled with, and you will be brilliant at talking about this. You said how many you've written.
Mm.
I'm at that position where I've gone back to the beginning to start writing another one,
Yes.
and are really struggling with that. Like, I guess sort of
Second album syndrome, isn't it?
it's the mentality of, I was just at page 350 last time I was at this computer, and now I'm at page 1, and I've
Yes.
got to go all over. How did you ever sort of find that a struggle, or evidently the amount you've gone on to write? How have you kind of dealt with going back in at the beginning?
Um, do you know what was interesting about that? It was because the decision was made. We made a decision. Sorry, we made the decision. Me and the publishers and editor and stuff. When we sat down and we talked about what to do next, the decisions are: continue with the story, a continuing saga, write something completely different, um, or have a break and don't do anything for a bit and see how you feel. But I wanted to continue straight on because I felt some momentum. I also loved the idea of continuing with the story because I didn't want my characters that Raymond and Nancy and Maynard Charles, my favourite character in the whole novels. Uh, I didn't want them just to never hear from them again.
Mm.
I loved it so much.
Yeah,
So we made the decision we'd carry on. We'd make it a good, although they're standalone novels. Now, anybody who's listening to this, I don't want to think, oh, you've got to start at the beginning.
yeah,
It feels like it's going to overface them. You don't know. Think about it like a Poirot or an Agatha Christie. You can dip in and
yeah,
just pick up any of them, and it's fine because they feel like individual novels. But I mean, if you took them as a whole spectrum, they would chronologically sort of move forward. But you're reintroduced to everybody as the novels go on, as you pick up a new novel. So when we made that decision, that was for me, I was great. The difficult thing to do now is who do we kill off and who do we introduce?
yes,
So you
yeah,
can't have a story with 74 characters. The book would be War and Peace every time you wrote it. So you've got to kill some people off, and then you've got to introduce new characters. So that was the most difficult part for me.
yeah.
But it's what's your feeling for you
In terms of,
starting again?
I so I had the experience at the end of the first one where nature of the setting and nature of
Yeah,
writing about the war. I killed off a lot of people.
it
So
happens in war.
yeah, I've gone into the second one with it being same timeline, brand new story, and I know the full plot, and I know that I want to experiment a little bit more with things, and maybe have two main characters where you've almost got running plots alongside each other.
Okay, yeah,
But it's that I think it is that getting over the first, because I did this when I wrote the first one. You see, I wanted to get to the action so quickly
yeah.
that I wrote sort of 3 chapters in about 30 pages, and then I was in the war, and I was like, no, that's not right. No one
That's not
else.
going to work. It's interesting. You can do the thing. There's a choreographer called Georges Balanchine. You might have heard of him. Very, very famous,
Mm,
sort of a modern contemporary style, going back a few years to 60s and 70s. And he used to choreograph in such a way. He used to start with the highlights, the big parts of the piece that he had, and he used to work back from there. So, as a sort of an exercise, you could think about it a bit like that. So, get the things that you've got in at the forefront of your mind,
mhm.
the bits that you feel really excited about. Start with those, do those, write those, put those out,
Yeah,
and then filter your way back from there.
yeah,
You don't have to start on page one once
mhm.
upon a time and then let the
Such a
thing
good point.
evolve and build. You don't have to do that. You
Yeah,
can do it in so many ways. When I'm choreographing, I always find beginning the most difficult thing. I could
yeah,
just wander around a studio for ages trying to think of something inspirational to start with because we feel like at the beginning has to be inspirational because I want it to continue at this level. And it's not so. You can
yeah,
start gently and work your way up. But have a thought about the Georges Balanchine method, as I say, as
yeah.
I call it, and and then filter back and do it and sort of go, okay, well, where would it have come from, or where would they have come from, or what would
Mhm.
have been, and then you can sort of build their stories sort of backwards.
Yeah, I actually love that idea. That's something I think I'm gonna experiment with. And I
Experiment.
will,
It's a way, and what it might do is it might just give you some sort of jolt of
yeah,
inspiration. You can carry on as you were.
yeah. I want to just touch once. You talk about choreography there, and I do just want to bring one note to
Go ahead.
Strictly. Obviously, that's we're in that time of the year, um, and I sort of want to get your feelings on something, because I think Strictly, first and foremost, is a classic example of one of those things where you don't know what you've got until it would be gone, as a sort of a form of unity for people. I give an anecdote personally. Um, in childhood, growing up, Strictly was like, it was the Saturday night. It's like
Yeah,
the biggest childhood memories. You know, the whole family. My mum is still like your biggest fan and goes to everything you've ever done, books, signings
love her.
at plays, so
Love. I
everything.
love Mum Brown.
Well, she'll love that. I so that was a childhood bit. I then went to uni, and every Saturday night would be me and my girlfriend would be watching Strictly, and it's something that like moves with the
Yeah.
ages and stuff. Being a part of it from the very start, how proud are you of like that impact that it can have on people's lives? And
Well, you've used the correct word. I'm enormously proud of the whole thing, and I love this. Because I think about you, and you're 22. Did you say three,
yeah,
four? Well, it's been
22.
around as long as you have. It's been around for
Yeah,
all of your life. Now, for me, I was there at the beginning, and then and I feel massively fortunate about that. But the thought that it's been around all of your lives, all of your life, is just it's extraordinary and brilliant. I love it, and it's there. And what I also enjoy the fact is that as a child, you'll have watched it with your parents, watched it with your mum, love it. You love it together. You might have gone away from it, gone off to uni. Excuse me. You go off to uni, and then at some stage you'll have come back to it. And you meet your girlfriend, she goes, "Oh, I love Strictly." You go, "Okay, fabulous, so do I actually. I've watched it for a few years. Let's sit in." You get
yeah,
14 pints of cider and you'll sit in and watch, as students do allegedly, and you'll and four boxes of pizza, and then you'll be in.
yeah.
Stereotyping students up and down the country. "Hey, we don't do that. I never drink cider. A snake
I'd love
bite."
to say you're really far off the mark, but
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I'm showing my age. Anyway, and then you're back to it with your
yeah,
girlfriend, and it's lovely. And I hear people that they watch Strictly in different parts of the country, but they're on FaceTime whilst
yeah,
they're watching it. And
yeah,
love that, and the joy of Strictly and the timelessness of Strictly is that you can't do that with any other show.
no,
And you get to vote as well, which is important. The audience, I'm not sure about phone vote anymore, but do they still phone vote? They might do. But you can get on
yeah,
and vote, save your favourites, or not vote for somebody. It's just, I
yeah,
love it. I just love it, and and you use the right word, I'm enormously proud of it.
yeah. No, as rightly so. Obviously, it's something, as I say, that I don't think people, especially in the world that we live in, where people like to scrutinise things, I don't think people perhaps quite realise the impact that something like that has on people, which is a testament to you massively as well.
Thank you. Lots of love. Thanks, Finn.
What a star he is. If you enjoyed that conversation, then as I said at the start, please make sure you've left a like, a subscribe, a comment, and all of that jazz down below, and we will see you in 10 days for our next conversation. Before that, make sure you keep on checking out Suffolk Sound for around the clock, brilliant live radio. But as I say, that's all until our next conversation. So I will see you very soon.